welcome back to Race Recap. My name is Jackson. This past weekend we had the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series in their final race of the round of 8 before the Championship 4 at Martinsville, the paperclip track. So the Truck Series started us off at the short track of Martinsville, running 200 laps. First caution was brought out pretty early on, nearing the end of Stage 1. It brought out when the 04 of Corey Roper went spinning. And that did take him to the end of Stage 1, which went to the 38 truck of Todd Gillen. The second caution was when the 24 truck of Jack Wood spun. The third caution was for debris on track. Fourth caution was brought out when the 34 of Josh Ram spun down the front straightaway, and he was just barely clipped in the back after he spun by the 32 of Brett Holmes. Then the fifth caution was a Stage 2 winner, Todd Gillen, and 38 swept both stages. Sixth caution was brought out when the 10 truck of Jennifer Jo Cobb spun down on the apron. The seventh caution was when the 4 of John Hunter Nemechek, who had a pretty good points cushion coming into this, but never can be too certain, spun out and nailed the outside wall nose first after trying to make a move on the 22 truck of Austin Wayne Self, entering turn number 3, and they did make contact, and he did end up into the outside wall hard, ending his day. And then the 8th caution was brought out when the Chris Hacker truck, the 45 truck, spun around. The 9th caution was when the Sage Karam truck number 3 spun around. Glad to see Sage Karam, IndyCar driver, in a Truck Series truck. And the 10th caution was brought out when the 75 of Parker Kligerman spun around after some pretty good contact from the 13 of Johnny Sauter. And then it's Martinsville, so you can do some payback here. The next caution was brought out for the 13 truck of Johnny Sauter, who had some contact with Parker Kligerman, maybe some payback after that last accident, and Johnny Sauter backed it hard into the outside wall. And then when they got back going, the 12th caution was brought out. It was a pretty big accident exiting turn number 4. The 88 of Matt Crafton, who was on the bubble for getting into the next round, spun around but did a 360 and kept a foot in the gas, and he was able to keep it straight. But back behind him, they were not. The 98 of Grant Enfinger, who had made contact with Crafton, was hit in the back by the 30 of Danny Bone, and the 25 truck of Josh Berry. Also spinning was the 51 of Corey Heim and the 12 truck of Tate Fogelman into the infield. Or not the infield, just a small wall on the bottom of the track. Then the 13th caution was brought out when the 41 of Dawson Cram got into it with the 51 of Corey Heim. Cram ended up sliding into the outside wall and spun down the turn 1 track, but he was able to continue, but there was the 13th caution. And this did take him to overtime finish, and it was a chaotic restart. The 21 of Zane Smith, who had to win to get into the Championship 4, was in 3rd place coming into this restart, so he made it 3 wide, exiting turn number 4, coming to the white flag. And there was contact between Stuart Friesen in the middle, who was just barely out of the playoffs right now, and Todd Gillen in the 38 truck, who was already out of the playoffs. Gillen spun up into the outside wall hard, taking his chance out of a win. And then the 52 of Stuart Friesen immediately had a tire go down in turn number 1, so he spun out, and the caution came out while Zane Smith was leading after they passed the white. So that means the race was over, and the checker flags went to the 21 truck of Zane Smith, who won and got into the next round, along with into the Championship 4. John Hunter Nemechek, who just barely got in after that accident. Matt Crafton and Ben Rhodes will join Zane Smith in the Championship 4. So the top 10 here were Zane Smith, Austin Hill, Tanner Gray, great finish for him, Chandler Smith, Matt Crafton, Parker Kligerman, Ben Rhodes, Taylor Gray, Sheldon Creed, and Timmy Hill, great finish for him as well, rounding out top 10. Only 2 DNFs this race. John Hunter Nemechek was out with the accident, and Chase Purdy in the 23 had rear end problems with the truck. So the next day it was the Xfinity Series at Martinsville. Multiple guys had a win to get in. Justin Haley, Noah Gregson, and Brandon Jones. Actually, Harrison Burton did as well. Many points behind the cutoff line. But anything can happen at Martinsville, so it was 250 laps. First caution was brought out when the 90 of Preston Pardis, making his first oval start, spun around. Second caution was a competition caution. The third caution was on the 54 of Ty Gibbs, kind of brake checked on the back straightaway into his former ARCA Menards Series teammate, the 21 in ARCA, the 8 this time, Sam Mayer, backed it hard into the outside wall off of Ty Gibbs, but he was able to continue with heavy damage. Then the fourth caution was the Stage 1 winner of Austin Cindric. The fifth caution was the Stage 2 winner, Noah Gregson, who has to win to get in, remember that. And then the sixth caution was the 15 of Bailey Curry, had a tire go down and left debris on track. The 7th caution was when the Ryan Ellis car spun around. The 8th caution was for the 2 of Mike Snyder, who spun, exiting turn number 2 on that restart and had some contact with the outside wall. The 9th caution was a red flag, big accident, exiting turn number 2 on this restart. The 52 of Spencer Boyd stayed out on slick tires, old tires as well, and he get a big log up kind of on the back straightaway, which is not good at Martinsville. Short track going 3 wide. Michael Annett slammed into the outside wall nose first, got his back tires up off the ground. He was then hit hard by the 10 of Jeb Burton and the 98 of Riley Herbst. Also spinning was the 02 of Brett Moffitt into the inside wall with minor damage, and the 52 of Spencer Boyd did as well spin out into the outside wall. Then when he got that all cleaned up due to the fluid on track, the 10th caution was when the 54 of Ty Gibbs spun around, and he was hit pretty hard by the 20 of Harrison Burton, who did have to win to get in, and that really killed his chances of getting in. Then the 11th caution was for debris on track. The 12th caution was on the 11, another playoff driver who had to win to get in. Justin Haley spun around, but he was already multiple laps down due to brake problems with the car after going to the garage. And then the 13th and final caution was when the 31 of Josh Berry spun around. And this took him to another overtime restart, second day in a row. They had Noah Gregson and Austin Cindric on the front row, and Gregson had to win to get in. They were side by side coming to the checker flags, and Noah Gregson barely edged out the 22 of Austin Cindric. So just like yesterday, Gregson has won to get into the championship 4. So Noah Gregson will be in along with Austin Cindric, Daniel Hemrick, and A.J. Allmendinger. So the top 10 here were Noah Gregson, Austin Cindric, Daniel Hemrick, Sam Mayer, great comeback for him, Justin Allgaier, Brandon Jones, A.J. Allmendinger, Alex Abay, Jeremy Clements, and Riley Herbst round out the top 10. DNFs this race, Justin Haley had brake problems. Brandon Brown, Jeb Burton, and Michael Annett all out for accidents. Mike Harmon, glad to see him back in the 74 this weekend, had overheating issues. And Tommy Joe Martins had a rear gear problem with the car. So the next day, it was the Cup Series at Martinsville. 500 laps, a very long race. First caution was competition caution. The second caution was when the 6 of Ryan Newman spun around. The third caution was the Stage 1 winner of Chase Elliott. The fourth caution was when the 3 of Austin Dillon got up into the outside wall. The fifth caution was the Stage 2 winner of Chase Elliott, swept both stages. The sixth caution was when the 52 of Josh Blickey spun and backed it hard in the outside wall. The seventh caution was brought out once again for Josh Blickey in the 52. Probably had some damage from that last accident, got up into the outside wall again, and collected the 00, Quinn Houff. Then the eighth caution was brought out when the 6 of Ryan Newman got tangled up with the 41 and the 42, Cole Custer and Ross Chastain. Chastain spun up into the outside of Ryan Newman, and they were side by side, making contact down the back straightaway, and left some debris on track. Then when they got back going, the ninth caution was for the 41 car of Cole Custer, who went spinning. The 10th caution was when the 99 of Daniel Suarez spun out. The 11th caution was for the 3 of Austin Dillon, who got up into the outside wall once again, more significantly this time. Then the 12th caution was when the 9 of Chase Elliott, who had a pretty good points cushion to make it into the next round, spun around and did not lose too many spots after some contact with Brad Keselowski in the 2. Then the 13th caution was brought out when the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. spun. And yes, they did have a 14th caution, which was brought out when Ryan Preece in the 37 went spinning. And they had a 15th caution, which sent him to a late race restart. It happened when the 11 of Denny Hamlin, who was leading the race, had some contact with the 48 of Alex Bowman, who was in second place. And Denny Hamlin went spinning up the track, and Alex Bowman went on to get the late race restart. On the late race restart, Alex Bowman was able to hold everyone off, and the checker flags did go to the 48 Hendrick car of Alex Bowman. But of course, he's out of the playoffs already, so no impact on the championship 4 there. But there was an impact with Denny Hamlin. He did make it in, but he was not happy with the 48 of Alex Bowman. When Bowman was trying to do his burnouts at the end of the race, Denny Hamlin came out onto the track with his car, and he put his nose up to the nose of the Ally Chevrolet, the 48 Alex Bowman, and did not let him do burnouts. So he was very upset, as well as he was upset in his late race interview. And there was more drama after the race when the 18 of Kyle Busch, who needed some wind to get in, along with the 2 of Brad Keselowski, they actually got into it after the race with their cars. Keselowski spun out Kyle Busch after the race, but neither made it into the championship 4, so it did not matter. And also in the championship 4, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Martin Truex Jr. So the top 10 here were Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., William Byron, Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch, Eric Jones, great finish for him, Chris Buescher, and Joey Logano round out top 10. DNFs this race, Ryan Preece had brake problems, Timmy Hill had engine problems with the 66, and Joey Gase in the 53 had electrical issues out early. Well, that's all for race recap. Come join us next weekend when it's the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series, and their Championship 4 finale at Phoenix Raceway.